Hey, Thunderstick, how we doing? Let me change my camera angle a little bit here. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, actually, it's kind of blinding, isn't it? Let me see if I can do that better. I'll just sit back farther. That's all right. I can still read with my glasses on. So, how we doing, Thunderstick? Parking your wheelchair. All righty. Well, it's going better now. I'll explain a little bit. Let's get a couple more people in here if we can. But yeah, it started out pretty rough this morning, to be honest with you. I was a little upset, but it's one of them things you have to deal with, life. Not always created by us, but always lived by us. Making a home, how we doing? Glad to see you here. I've had better days making a home, but that's okay. Let's see if somebody else wants to pop in here real quick, and we'll get this started. Had a pretty rough morning this morning, to be honest with you. It was. There we go. Okay, we got Lindy Oki in here. All right, people are starting to come in. All right, so I'm not too sure how many of you all have like a YouTube channels or whatever, but they have this thing that's called 3 strikes and you're out. And I got my first strike this morning, and it wasn't based on a recent video. It blew me away. It was based on a video that's probably 6-7 months old. Whereas I wasn't paying attention when I was recording, and there was a radio playing in the background. And one of the artists that was in the music on the radio at the time had heard a song playing on my stream and gave me a copyright strike. And of course, good old Google YouTube, they passed it right along back to me. And I also was just recently warned by Dan Bongino that I'm not allowed to share his content anymore either, because he will give me a copyright strike. He hasn't yet, but he told me he will. So I had to stop doing those. I will do something as far as being able to get part of his show out for people to be able to hear it, to get a gist of what the show is going to be about, and a link to be able to go watch it. But other than that, I can't do his whole shows anymore. He's too big of a guy for me to mess with. He's got about 1.5 million followers over on Rumble now. I think he probably had 2.5 million or better when he was on YouTube. He's not on YouTube, so I was hoping I could do better. But yeah, it's this YouTube thing. I mean, we're talking, they can go back a long ways and put a copyright strike against you. Like I said, 3 strikes and you're out. So for all you guys watching now and listening and whatnot, I'm on Facebook under my own name. You can see my picture there with me. If you would follow me on Facebook, you put in a friend request, I will definitely friend you. And that way, if I do get taken off YouTube, which I hope I don't, because I'm finally starting to get some decent numbers up there. But if I do, I can give you the new channel name or whatever and carry on from there. I mean, I just made 192 subscribers this week, which is pretty good. I'm 20% of the way there for what, or yeah, 20% of the way there for what you need in order to get monetized. Watch time hours a long ways away. That's what I was working on with Dan Bongino, was trying to get my watch time hours up. But that's not going to pay off, so I got to quit doing that. The lives themselves, they can help with the watch hour as long as people don't just watch 10 minutes and decide it's boring conversation or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty wild. I didn't know that they would go back that far, for one, and for two, I didn't even know I had a radio playing in the background, to be honest. I really didn't. I didn't pay attention to the video. Yes, I've got 192 subscribers right now, Lynn. Thank you. Actually, I've had 192 since the 14th. I actually write it down on I keep an index card right here on my computer. It tells me how many subscribers I have, how many watch time hours I have, how many videos I have, minus the strikes. But yeah, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in order to be monetized. But what I've been told is that YouTube was working on changing that algorithm to be less, as low as it could be 1,000 watch hours and 400 subscribers. But I have not heard anything official from YouTube stating that that would be the case. It would be nice if they would actually do something. Well, that means I just gained 3 more Thunderstick. Thank you. I look at it on the back end, the analytics pages and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun ride, and you have to do it right. Boy, this camera angle really stinks, don't it? We're looking at all the junk behind me. Let me see if I can turn you a little bit here and get to a different direction. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. I'm covering up most of the junk behind me now. Well, not all of it, but quite a bit. Better than it was when it was up on top of the computer. Well, Lynn, that's good. How long have you been doing it? If I may ask. Thunderstick, how long have you been doing it? How many videos do you have out also? And retention rate, I noticed, is also something that is out there since 2019. Okay. I know. I look at my retention times, and even on really good videos, the retention times are super low. Some people will like click on it to watch it, and they'll do like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of it, and then they drop right back off again. 90 videos. Okay, I've got 30. Well, as of now, that doesn't count lives or any of that stuff, though. I'm working on another video right now showing the process of putting together, not putting together, but printing a t-shirt and what I do to print them, fold them, and put them into the bags. Because I think the way we do it for putting them into bags especially is very unique. Lynn, I was sitting back looking at mine and I'm going, wow, Thunderstick, you're really pushing the videos out. I've been looking at it as I'm not in a big hurry to get monetized either. I mean, it's not like I need YouTube money. I make enough on my own with my businesses and stuff. And I'm semi-retired, so I don't, this is my job, is sitting home doing whatever I want to do. But in 3 years, I plan on retiring. And it would be nice to be able to get a supplemental income coming in, because once I sell the business, that's it. The business is gone. And I have no intention of buying land in Arkansas and dragging my business with me, because that would be expensive and not worth the time. 1 per day for 365 days. Theoretically, I should reach my subs hours doing it. Yeah, making a home you can, but the thing is that you have to consider what you're going to be using as your theme for what you're going to be doing with your channel, and whether or not you can actually get the subscribers to want to watch you do it. I mean, I've watched candle makers, soap makers, all that stuff. I mean, I sell artisan-made soaps, and you'll never see me doing soap because I've watched those channels, and most of them are pretty boring, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people like watching the sublimation side of printing and whatnot, because it's something that people can like relate to. Screen printing, not so much. Actually, I've got a full screen printing press set up down in my basement that I'm not even interested in using, so I can't imagine anybody wanting to watch me use it. So that's the thing too, is you got to have your content out there to where it's something that people actually want to see. Now, I give Drifting Dreamers 5, Mike and Lissa, those guys, a lot of credit. They haven't been doing it for very long. Their channel is growing phenomenally well. Mike himself is very entertaining. Lissa's a good cook, and now she started doing the meditations with crafting or whatever with Alyssa, and that's a pretty decent one too, because she's teaching people how to do things they don't already know how to do, or giving them ideas of how to maybe do something different. That's kind of cool. I do have a lot of lasers around here, and I'm going to get back into working with those, and I will be sharing videos of that. I've got some projects in the works right now that once I get them figured out to where I can actually make it work on the laser, I will probably show the process of that. But I have to get back into the game. So as we say, I've got 4 lasers, and I only use 2 of them. One of them sits right here beside my desk, and it doesn't get used at all. And another one sits on the counter right over here, and that was the first one. That was an Ore Tour, and I hated that laser since the day I bought it, and that's why I ended up with the one beside me. And then I bought an X-Tool D1. That one became my favorite of the diode lasers instantly. And once that became the main one for using the diode laser, I tried taking stuff that I was doing on that diode laser, because diode's kind of slow, and transporting it down to the big CO2 laser I've got. I've got the Ohmtech 60 watt CO2 laser. The thing's a monster. It's as big as my kitchen table. And well, a kitchen table, not my kitchen table. My kitchen table seats 8 people. I had a big dining room. I had to buy a big table to fill it up. We don't use it. It's a catch-all. Hi, Karen Browse. How we doing tonight? But yeah, I plan on getting a lot more back into that one there, with doing a lot of things on the CO2 laser. Unfortunately, what I took off of the diode laser straight down to the CO2 was for slate coasters, and it burnt right through them. 2 videos a week for months at a time. Same every Wednesday and Friday. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, Thunderstick. Hog hunting, I'm pretty sure making it home, that those would be something people watch, because I know I watched them. They have those major hog hunts down in Texas where these guys are out there. Excuse me. They're out there on this like oversized Jeep Ranger or whatever it is, and they've got the automatic machine guns and stuff on there, and they're just driving through the herd and wiping them all out on the way through. I watch every one of those. I couldn't eat that much ham if I tried, and when they first got into it, that's what they were doing, is they were shooting for food, and now they just shoot and get paid to go shoot, because the wild hogs are just going in and ripping places up. Thunderstick, as you should. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. Actually, my more full-time job right now is keeping up with all of the channels I watch, and there's a lot of them. White Rock Homestead's a good example. Drifting Dreamers 5, Country Road Cure, Simple Life Reclaimed, Come On Homesteading, Ridge Life. I mean, and on and on and on. I could sit here and name them things off all day long. And I try to keep up with all their channels. What are you doing? And what, like Roxanne today, we're working on starting to put together another one of them metal buildings that Mike and Lissa just did, and Melanie and Gary already did. And I'm just sitting back going, that even though I've watched it twice already, it's still interesting to me, because quite a few years ago, I had a camp, and I had a really, really big metal shed. Nobody sent it to me. I had to buy it myself, and it was very expensive. But I had a shed putting together party, and we had 3 different cordless drills running screws. And at the end of the day, it was 90% put together, and no batteries left to run the drills anymore. So I had to go back in and do the finish work myself the next day. And that on its own was a chore. And I'm watching these guys do it in 2 days, shed's up. And it's okay. Well, there's probably a better made shed than what I had. That's probably for sure. Len, thank you. Anyway, so if anybody has any questions, I mean, we're open chat. Anybody has any questions or anything, let's talk. Let's see what's going on with people. And if anything, what you'd like to see more of on my channel, or maybe somebody else's channel too. I'm not going to try to leave a lot of dead airspace, though. I hate that watching videos. All right, so there was another question people were asking me too. Yeah, Thunderstick shorts do help out well. I actually had one short that got, I think it was 1.5 million views, and it was a funny one. I happened to find this guy who, it was long-haired hippie, reading off a piece of paper, standing on a stage, looking down, somber as hay, and he just looks at the piece of paper and says, "Life is a waste of time. Time is a waste of life. Stay wasted all the time and have the time of your life." That thing got watched so many times it wasn't funny. Making a home, that's awesome. That's awesome. And actually, by doing that, now are you self-publishing that book, or are you going to have somebody else do it for you? Because if you're going to self-publish that book, I can imagine you could make a video teaching people how to self-publish their own books as well, and people would watch that because I know there's a lot of people out there that are writing goofy books for like Amazon or whatever. I looked into it for a while and I decided I wasn't wanting to do it, but I thought about it for a while. Yes, Karen, absolutely, honey. I want to be in Arkansas within the next 3 years. I want to buy the land before then, but in the next 3 years, like I say, I've got a couple businesses here I have to sell plus a house. The house is in construction behind me. You can see that it's not complete yet, and the businesses they're hard to sell, especially right now with the economy. With all this inflation and stuff, the seed business would draw a really good dollar, but I have to find a really good buyer. And again, the problem is the economy. You know, when COVID hit, the seed business blew up, and it's maintained itself rather well since. But this economy, I can feel it in my pocket. It's starting to put a little hurt on it, and until the economy gets better, which means until after we exchange our old man in the house out to a younger old man in the house or whatever, I can't foresee finding a buyer that would be willing to give me the money that I want for it. I've been building this business for 13 years, and that business anyway, and it makes really good money, and it keeps a lot of people busy. I have 6 employees outside of myself. I am the CEO, so I am an employee as well. But it's there. Making a home, yes, absolutely. I actually have been talking with Anthony from Country Road Cure. He's got his ear to the ground for me, and so does Mike from Gypsy Dreamers 5. And I believe, I'm not positive, but I believe that Bobblehead Jeff has actually been watching out for property for me as well. Lynn, I have a son that's very old. No, he's not very old. He's going to be 33 this year, and unfortunately, he didn't turn out right. His mother and I separated. Hey, Peter, how are you doing? His mother and I separated when he was 5 years old. She took him with him. I got visitation, but that was it. Marianne Bendler, thank you for coming in. Sorry, I missed you a little bit ago there. But yeah, she took him. I had some visitation with him, but I couldn't get custody of him. The courts wouldn't allow it. Of course, I live in New York. That's kind of typical. And she ended up losing him to foster care of all places. I fought the court on that one. I said, "Hey, he's got a father right here, more than able to take care of him." But because I worked 12, I was at the time working 12-hour days. They said, "Yeah, no, that's not going to work." So they put him into foster care, and in foster care, he ended up being a trouble child, and now he's bad into the drugs and living on the street. So, hey, Paul Honeyman, how we doing, brother? It's not. But anyway, now he's like living on the streets. Well, actually, right now he's living in the jail. No notification, Paul. I put the notification up Thursday. Right now he's in Cortland County Jail because during COVID they closed down all the courtrooms and they wouldn't let anybody go to court for anything. And he was involved in a bad fight during that time frame. And they finally went after him. 3-4 years later, here we are. They finally went after him, and now he's sitting in Cortland County Jail for 6 months. I just was talking to his girlfriend the other day. I've seen her at Walmart. His mother was complaining, well, he's living in my backyard in the tent, and you got to help him. I said, you wouldn't let me help him when he was 5. What the fuck makes you want me to help him now? I tried to help my son. I really did. I tried when he was 18 years old. I took him in under my wing when he came back out of foster care, and he wanted no part of it. I was the kind of a parent that said, my house, my rules, and he didn't like it. So, yeah, it is what it is. One can only hope that the children turn out right, but you really have to be in their lives in order to make it happen. And it's not like I just packed my bags and left the house and never returned. It was my house, and she left my house with the kids. So I did my share, but it's just one of those things. And actually, the reason why he went into foster care living with her was because her and her current boyfriend at the time were living in an apartment house. It was like late fall of the year, I think it was going on like November, somewhere around there. And somebody called DSS on them. DSS showed up. They had no gas to heat the house with because the gas company wouldn't turn it on without a security deposit, and they didn't have any money. They didn't have electricity because she ran her last bill up so high that they told her, you owe us about $2,000 before we'll let you do it again, plus a security deposit. And DSS opened up the refrigerator, and there was enough food in the refrigerator for like one person to have a snack and a whole bunch of alcohol. And so they pulled the kids instantly out of the house right then and there. I got word of it. I went to court. The court said, yeah, no, you're not going to do it. And, well, that's the way it was. It's tough, but, so like I tell my son, you made your choice. Now you got to live with it. And, I didn't make that choice for you. You made it for yourself. And even though you were in foster care, you could have done better for yourself. You chose not to. So I don't like sounding harsh like that, but it's your bed, you lie in it. That's the way I was brought up, and that's pretty much the way I wanted my son brought up was, you do right by you. Yeah, Paul, unfortunately here in the United States, especially in New York, they don't like the fathers trying to help them either, to be honest with you. Anytime there's like a court dispute between a mother and a father, it's like 99.5% of the time the mother is going to end up with the child unless she's the drug addict. And then they probably will let the father have the kids, but he'll be under such scrutiny that he wouldn't be able to go sideways without losing the kids. Yes, we do, Thunderstick. We live and die by the choices we make. I agree with you, Thunderstick. We do, semi-free. I fully agree with, but yeah, no one makes you do anything. And like I say, I was raised in a household whereas you were to be the man of yourself, so you had to be your own provider. Granted, my parents gave me a lot of leeway. I got out of high school and went right straight into the military. And when I got out of the military, I was kind of at a loss for a while. And I decided I really didn't like New York anymore because I hadn't been here in so long. And everybody that I grew up with was still doing the same stuff they were doing when I left. So I traveled the country quite a bit, but I had a commitment to be back in New York on July 4th, that same year I got out of the Army, to play at a friend of mine's party that he has every year. And I came back, I played at that party, and I've been here ever since. But my parents took me back in under their wing, and my dad says, "Well, you got to pay something for rent." And I was like, "Okay, fine, great." I was working on starting my lawn maintenance business at the time. I said, "Fine, great, I'll do that. Hell, I'll even mow your lawn." Well, it turned out I was mowing the neighbor's lawn, their lawn, and my uncle's lawn, who lived right next door. That was all part of my rent. And my mom came out to me and she says, "Well, just give me a pound of hamburger a week." How can you not love a mother like that? My dad didn't like the idea of it, but he did agree that, hey, let's at least help him out long enough to get him off his feet. And when I met my son's mother, I left my parents' house. And at that time I was probably 20, I don't know, 26 maybe. And it was like a year later, they put the house up for sale. And my mom called me and she says, "Hey, we got a lot of stuff over here in the driveway and in the garage we're going to be selling. You want to come over and get first dibs?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll come over." So I was over there and I'm looking at all this stuff and going, "What's up with all the sales stuff here? What's going on?" And she says, "Well, we're getting ready to leave for Florida. We're going to sell the house and move to Florida." I was like, "You're selling the house?" And my dad says, "Yeah, it's the only way we can make sure you don't come back." But then they tried to sell me the house. So, how's that work out? But yeah, I mean, and if the taxes weren't so high in New York State, I probably would have bought the house. I know now at my age, I should have bought the house because I would have got a really good price off of them, and the taxes were a lot cheaper back then than they are now. You know, I've said it before in my lives is that here I am sitting on 0.59 acres with a house, a garage, and an outer building that's my seed business, and I'm paying $6,500 a year in taxes on that. And if I go to Arkansas, it's not even 500 a year for a whole lot more property, and none of the regulations I got to stay within. So yeah, I guess that's probably a dumb part on my part back then, but I was young and I really didn't think I could afford it at the time, to be honest with you. I was raising my son plus her daughter, and with the mortgage payments the way they were structured, and with taxes and stuff, and then utilities and car and automotive expenses, insurance, gas, maintenance, all that stuff. I just couldn't picture that at the time I was making enough money to do it. I look back at it now and I'm going, yeah, you're dumb, man. You were definitely able to do it. You might have struggled a little bit, but you were definitely able to do it. I know I was telling everybody here on the last live that I was going to go get my chickens on Sunday, and that didn't happen. I woke up Sunday morning, totally forgot what I was supposed to be doing, and I missed the boat on that one. I remembered at noon, and the place that was selling them shut down at noon. So this next coming Saturday, the 23rd, our local Tractor Supply is having an animal swap and craft show or whatever in their parking lot. And people there will have chickens for sale. And then the day after that, it'll be right back to where I was supposed to be at the Sunday before last. And he'll be there again, 9 to 12. And he plans on having a lot of people there with chickens as well. And if I don't buy chickens at either of those two, then the following weekend, I've got a deal set up with the guy that lives in the next town over, which is only like I don't know, 20-minute drive from here. He's got 6 hens and a rooster he wants to sell as a group. My problem with that is I really don't want the rooster. I don't want brooding hens for one. I don't want a rooster crowing in the yard for two. I don't want it bothering my neighbors. But see, no, dementia. Yeah, well, that's the thing that I worry about thunderstick with all of them. You know, the ones that they want to sell, chances are they're not their friendliest birds, or they may be at the end of their laying term or whatever. The guy in the next town over, he told me his birds are all 2 years old. He's been raising them to raise younger birds, and he's been selling the young chickens, and these are constant egg layers. The rooster's name is Jerry. He's really friendly, and he says, "All right, well that's good." Yeah, actually, six hens are a good start, and that's exactly where I started when I built my chicken coop. And I lost one when they were still really young and in a tote with a heater and whatnot. I think he got trampled or he just lost his way and couldn't find the water dish, one of the two. Or maybe there was something wrong with him because he was really young, not even a week old and passed away. So it took me down to five, and then a Fisher cat got into my yard and took the other five. Yeah, thunderstick, I understand that, and of course, getting closer to winter now. I mean, I'm sitting here with a flannel shirt on because right now at my house it's 57 degrees outside, and that'll start cutting back as well. I'm not really going to do it so much for egg production as I am for just getting used to raising chickens and for myself. Again, I didn't really want to get a rooster. I really don't want a rooster, but yeah, if Paul, that's what I'm thinking. Worst case scenario, if Jerry and I don't get along, I don't want brooding hens because I don't want to worry about raising a bunch of young chicks. I don't want to become bobblehead. Not that I have anything wrong with Jeff, but I just don't want to become bobblehead. I don't have the room to set up any more chicken coops or anything like that. I don't want to set up any more chicken coops. The one I've got now takes up enough of the yard as it is. I don't have that much yard space, and they're expensive. Anybody that's raised them knows that you don't raise chickens for the eggs by any means. You can raise them for the eggs and then hatch out the eggs and sell them for chickens and maybe make back part of the money you spent on the feed. But you really can't make it on the eggs. Right now we got more people in here. I'm gonna go back to what I started this one with tonight because we're already at the end. But I've already got a strike against me from YouTube based on a video I did a long time ago. So I'm on Facebook. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's under my name, Dave Moffett. You'll see my smiling face in the picture. Probably holding a flag at the Capitol steps or something like that, I believe it was. But follow me on Facebook so if something happens to my channel, because I got a feeling I'm going to be seeing some more strikes pretty soon. I was warned by Dan Bongino not to do that anymore. So we'll see how that plays out. But follow me on Facebook. So if I have to change the channel name and everything, I can. And I can keep you guys abreast of it. Is the magic word there, Karen? It was 76 degrees here in sunny earlier when I was out weed eating the yard. Paul, I smile a lot, believe it or not. I'm a rather comedic kind of guy. If you've seen me in some of these live chats snickering behind where I don't have the camera on and the things I just spit out of my mouth, you'd be going, yeah, this guy's funny. I'm like you. I have no problem harassing people. I'm still waiting for Timifer's dozer video. By the way, has anybody thought about going on to the Timifer roast? Because I thought that was pretty funny. I'm not going to do it because I've already got free honey coming. I made him into labels. But I thought about doing a Timifer roast and actually pretending I was Tim and saying he was an impersonator. A real Tim shows you dozer videos and then put it in the end of it an actual little clip of a dozer going through like a woodlot. Just to say, see, now I've got the dozer video. He's an imposter. Yeah, Paul, you and I are brothers, my friend. You and I are brothers. Live across the pond with different mothers, but we're still brothers. All right, guys, I'm going to call this one a night. It's I think I'm gonna, Paul. I really do. I don't need any more of his honey. I already got some coming, but I really do think I'm gonna do it just because it's pretty easy to find a real short clip of a dozer running through the woods, and it's pretty easy to call somebody out and say, yeah, he's an imposter. I'm the real Timifer. Yeah. Making it home, there's a lot of people that have been telling Tim that I can't do that to you. You're too nice of a guy. But you know what? I'm gonna do it because he is a nice guy. I got to meet him in person in Oklahoma, and I got along great with him. I got along great with everybody I met in Oklahoma. Actually, I didn't have a problem with anybody. But yeah, I mean, he is a sweet guy. But come on, he's looking to get a good laugh too. And not that he doesn't get a lot of them already. But all right, guys, I'm gonna cut this one off. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you next Saturday, same time, same place. Later. Live, Mike.